All right, good morning again to everyone. Glad you could be with us today.
Dobro jutro vsem. Vesel sem, da smo spet skupaj.
So today, going to continue in the study of the pictures and prophecies of Jesus that we see in the Old Testament.
Danes še naprej gledamo ilustracije in ponazoritve Jezusa v Stari zavezi.
Well, last week we looked at the crossing of the Red Sea.
Prejšnji teden smo si pogledali prehod skozi Rdeče morje.
And for the children of Israel, unless they wanted to be slaves again, they had to go into the Red Sea that God had divided for them.
In ti Izraelovi sinovi so morali iti skozi Rdeče morje, če niso hoteli ostati sužnji, in ta Rdeče morje je razdelil z njih Bog.
And we saw that the Red Sea is a picture of Jesus, and that whoever wants to be freed from their sin must enter into Jesus.
In videli smo, da je Rdeče morje prispodoba Jezusa in da vsak, ki se hoče osvoboditi greha, mora iti skozi Jezusa.
And once someone enters into Jesus, the Bible says they're a new creation. Old things pass away and everything becomes new.
In ko nekdo vstopi v Jezusa, postane nova kreacija, ker piše pač v Bibliji, da stare stvari minejo in nastane novo.
So now, after they cross the Red Sea, the next major thing to happen is God is going to give Moses the 10 Commandments.
In naslednja stvar, zanimiva, ki se bo zgodila, ko bojo Izraelci prečkali Rdeče morje, je ta, da bo Bog dal Mojzesu 10 zapovedi.
And we can't just jump over the 10 Commandments without even talking about them at all. So we're going to make a brief comment or two, and I've given you a handout that's going to show some things about the 10 Commandments as well.
Ne moramo kar mimo 10 zapovedi, ne da bi nekaj povedali o njih, zato smo tudi tukaj razdelili liste, na katerih je 10 zapovedi.
So when we came to Slovenia, I was to learn that the 10 Commandments that I had always known and memorized was different than the 10 Commandments that are referenced here by the church in Slovenia.
In ko je Monte prišel v Slovenijo, je bil šokiran, da je 10 zapovedi, Božjih zapovedi, ki jih pozna, so v Bibliji drugačnih od 10 Božjih zapovedi, ki jih uči katoliška cerkev v Sloveniji.
So I took the time to print out the differences, or say the 10 Commandments that come from Exodus chapter 20 and the 10 Commandments that the Catholic Church publishes.
In zato je se vzel čas, pa je natisnil 10 Božjih zapovedi, ki so v Bibliji v 20. Poglavju, in pa 10 Božjih zapovedi, ki jih pripoveduje katoliška cerkev.
So just so you can see the difference between the two, if you look here, what you're going to see is there's some differences when it comes to commandment number 2.
In če si pogledate tele liste, vidite, da je pri drugi Božji zapovedi neke razlike.
And the commandments that come from Exodus chapter 20, number 3, is actually moved up to number 2 in the Catholic version of the 10 Commandments.
In ta Božja zapoved, ki je v Bibliji, v bistvu gre tukaj za tretjo Božjo zapoved, v Bibliji je druga zapoved v katoliški cerkvi.
So, I understand when we memorize something, we condense it down to kind of help with memorization. So what I did is I took the Slovene version of the Bible from Exodus chapter 20 and also the English version on the other side, so that we could compare as we look at those.
Zato smo si pač tukaj natisnili, pa smo postavili tole slovensko pa angleško verzijo Svetega pisma, ko smo tole natisnili na papir.
So, when I see that there's a difference between the two versions, it's kind of important to ask, why is there a difference?
In ko vidimo te razlike, je zelo pomembno, da se vprašamo, zakaj pa so te razlike.
Why would the church here skip over commandment number 2 and then split the 10th commandment into two different parts?
Zakaj katoliška cerkev preskoči drugo božjo zapoved in potem zadnjo 10. zapoved razdeli v dva dela?
So is commandment number 2 not really important?
A to pomeni, da druga božja zapoved ni pomembna?
Actually, it is very important, because if you already know the story, as Moses is receiving these 10 commandments, the people are down at the bottom of the mountain, actually, and they have made this golden image and they're bowing down to it.
V resnici je to zelo pomembna zapoved, ker ko je šel Mojzes na goro, ko se je vrnil nazaj dol z gore, so ljudje takrat delali zlate malike, zlate kipce, katerim so se priklanjali.
So God was furious with the people, and Moses was as well.
In Bog je bil takrat na te ljudi zelo jezen in tudi Mojzes je bil zelo jezen.
Who had just delivered the people from the Egyptians? God did.
Kdo je pravno pripeljal ljudi iz Egipta? Bog.
Who had just opened the Red Sea so that they could escape? God did.
Kdo je razprl Rdeče morje, da so lahko pobegnili? Bog je to naredil.
And yet here are the people down at the bottom of the mountain worshiping a golden bull.
Dol v dolini pod goro pa so ljudje mlekovali zlate kipce.
So just so we're aware of what's happening here, commandment number 2 says, "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, thou shalt not bow down thyself to it, or serve it." Yeah, that's not in there.
It's not here. Okay, se pravi, druga zapoved pravi, da ne narediš slike in da se ne priklanjaš, niti služiš podobi.
So, does anyone have any thoughts of why the church here would want to skip over commandment number 2?
Se komu sanja, zakaj cerkev izpušča drugo božjo zapoved?
To me, I think it's obvious.
Jaz mislim, da je to očitno.
I think there are a lot of things in the Catholic Church that people bow down to and people pray to.
Mislim, da je zelo veliko razlogov, zakaj katoliška cerkev dovolj, da se ljudje klanejo in molijo k slikam.
But you have to understand, this is a delicate subject to Catholics, and they already understand that this second commandment exists.
Morate se zavedati, da je to za katoličane zelo občutljiva tema in so vedeli, da ta druga božja zapoved seveda obstaja.
So at the Second Council of Nicaea, the Catholic Church in the year 787, they had this council come together and they determined that the veneration of these statues or icons was not in violation of the second commandment, and they stated this: whoever venerates an image venerates the person portrayed in the image.
Tako so na drugem nikejskem koncilu katoliške cerkve leta 787 ugotovili, da čaščenje ikon in kipov ni v nasprotju z zapovedi in so zapisali, da kdor časti podobo, časti osebo, ki je na njej prikazana.
So if you didn't catch what they're saying, they said this: it's okay to do it because we say it's okay.
Torej, če niste razumeli, oni so rekli, da je v redu se priklanjati slikam in podobam, zato ker so oni tako rekli.
Did the approval come from God?
A prišel dovoljenje od Boga?
I would challenge you to show me that in the Bible.
Pokažite mi to v Bibliji, če je.
What I can show you is that the Bible says you should never bow down yourself or pray to anything made with hands.
Jaz vam lahko pokažem, da v Bibliji piše, da se ne smete priklanjati ali pa moliti nečemu, kar je narejeno z rokami.
So if you would like to talk more about this, we could spend a lot of time talking about this specifically, but that's not the message for today. But we just couldn't skip over the 10 commandments without talking about this.
Če se želite pogovarjati o tem, se lahko kasneje še več pogovarjamo, ker danes imamo drugo sporočilo, ampak nismo mogli preko 10 božjih zapovedi, ne da bi se tega dotaknili.
So after giving the 10 commandments, God begins to lay the groundwork for restarting the sacrificial worship again.
Torej, potem, ko je Bog dal 10 zapovedi, je začel postavljati temelje za ponoven začetek žrtvenega čaščenja.
In the time that the Israelites were slaves in Egypt, we don't have any record of them continuing in the sacrificial pattern that God had shown.
Ko so bili te Izraelovi sinovi v Egiptu, nimamo nobenega zapisa o tem, da so v Egiptu še vedno izvajali žrtvovanje.
So what we do see in Exodus chapter 8, when Moses was approaching Pharaoh to ask if they could go out into the wilderness and do sacrifice, he said, okay, yeah, you can go, but then he changed his mind.
Videli smo edino v drugi Mojzesovi knjigi v 8. poglavju, da je faraon rekel, da jih bo začasno izpustil, da bojo lahko žrtvovali, ampak se je potem spet premislil.
So from that, I think it's safe to assume that during their time of slavery, they were not allowed to observe the pattern that God had given them of the blood sacrifice.
Torej lahko domnevamo, da je v času suženjstva, da jim ni bilo dovoljeno upoštevati vzorca krvne daritve, kot jo je predpisal Bog.
This blood sacrifice was very important, otherwise God never would have required it or expected it.
Ta krvna daritev je bila takrat zelo pomembna, ker drugače Bog ne bi pričakoval oziroma zahteval.
So then, if you ask the question, why was it that important? It was the picture of the one who would eventually come someday in the future to complete that picture of the blood sacrifice.
Če se sprašujete, zakaj je bilo to tako pomembno, to je bilo tako pomembno zato, ker je bila krvna daritev prispodoba tistega, ki bo prišel in dal dokončno žrtev.
So God is now going to give them instructions, very plain instructions, on these offerings again, these sacrifices that are going to take place in a place called the tabernacle.
In zdaj, pač v tem trenutku, kjer so, jim bo Bog dal zelo natančna navodila krvnega žrtvovanja na prostoru, ki se imenuje tabernakel.
This tabernacle was going to be a special place where God would physically dwell with them.
Ta tabernakel je poseben prostor, kjer bo Bog pri ljudeh.
And so if you think, I think the Slovene word is šotor, something like a tent. This was going to be a temporary dwelling place, something that could be set up and taken down fairly quickly as they traveled from Egypt, now going back to the promised land.
Torej temu bi lahko rekli šotor, gre za neko začasno bivališče, ki ga bojo začasno postavili in ga bojo potem lahko razstavili in nesli naprej proti obljubljeni deželi.
So again, it would be the place where God would dwell with the people as they're journeying.
Se pravi, še enkrat, to bo prostor, kjer bo Bog bival z ljudmi na njihovem potovanju.
So now we arrive to Exodus chapter 25. And God is going to talk about this tabernacle and how it's going to be built and all these things starting here. So I'm going to read verses 1 through 9 of Exodus chapter 25. It says that the Lord spoke to Moses and said, "Speak to the children of Israel that they bring me an offering. From every man that gives it willingly with his heart you shall receive my offering. This is the offering which you will receive from them: gold, silver, brass, blue and purple, scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair, ram skins dyed red and badger skins and shittim wood, oil for the light, spices for anointing oil and sweet incense, onyx stones and stones to be set in the ephod and in the breastplate. And let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell with them, according to all that I show you after the pattern of the tabernacle and the pattern of all the instruments of it. That is how you shall make it."
Torej, prišli smo do 25. poglavja druge Mojzesove knjige, kjer beremo od 1. do 9. vers. Gospod je spregovoril Mojzesu in rekel: "Govori Izraelovim sinovom, naj pobirajo zame dar. Od vsakega, ki ga srce nagiba k temu, vzemite dar zame. To pa naj bo dar, ki ga jemljite od njih: zlato, srebro in bron, višnjev in rdeč škrlat, karmezin, tančica, kozja dlaka, rdeče barvene ovnove kože, delfinove kože, akacijev les, olje za svetilnico, dišave za mazilno olje in za dišečo kadilo, oniksovi kamni in okrasni kamni za etot in naprsnik. Postavijo naj mi svetišče, da bom prebival med njimi, naredijo naj natančno potem, kakor te bom pokazal na vzorcu prebivališča in na vzorcu njegove opreme.
So over the next several chapters, we're going to see God explaining exactly what is to be made, how each thing is to be made, and what it is to be made from.
Torej, v teh naslednjih poglavjih vidimo natančna navodila, kako in iz česa kaj naj ljudje naredijo.
And God is going to be very specific about each part of the tabernacle.
In Bog je bil zelo natančen glede vsakega dela tega tabernakla.
Each piece had a very specific and had a specific meaning as well.
Vsak del tabernakla je imel zelo poseben in določen namen.
Now something else we need to understand, this was God's idea to have this place made so that he could have a place to meet with the people.
In to je bila Božja ideja, da bo ljudje naredili ta kraj, kjer se bojo ljudje lahko srečevali z Bogom.
He is not being asked to come live with them. He is saying, hey, I love you, my children, and I want to be with you. Ljudje ne prosijo Boga, ne pridejo živeti k njim, ampak Bog pravi, hej, otroci, rad vas imam, hočem biti z vami. Now, as we saw here, God asked Moses to tell the people to bring an offering of the materials so that they could build all these objects.
Torej, videli smo, da je Bog prosil Mojzesa, ne reče ljudem, naj prinese ves ta material, da bojo lahko zgradili te objekte.
Now, after hearing what all these materials were, you might think, where did slaves get all this gold and silver and brass and jewels?
In ko ste mogoče slišali ta seznam, ste se mogoče vprašali, kje so pa sužnji dobili ves ta drag material, zlato, srebro, dragulje.
So, I don't know if you remember when the Israelites were leaving Egypt, the people of Egypt were throwing these things at them. Actually, they were begging them to leave. And a lot of this stuff that the Israelites had come from the Egyptians as they were leaving.
Mogoče se spomnite, da ko so Izraelci odhajali iz Egipta, so Egipčani nanje metali stvari in so jih prosili, naj grejo. In veliko od teh stvari, ki jih zdaj tukaj naštevamo, je takrat dejansko priletel, je bilo vrženo od Egipčanov.
Yeah, they were saying, please take these things and leave. We can't suffer anymore at the hands of your God.
Ja, Egipčani so rekli, prosim, vzemite te stvari, pa pojte, ne moramo več trpeti vašega Boga.
They understood that the Hebrew, the Israelite God was more powerful than any of their gods.
Egipčani so se zavedali, da je izraelski Bog močnejši od vseh njihovih bogov.
So now, after getting this word from God, Moses is going to bring this word to the people about bringing the offerings for the Lord's work.
In zdaj, ko je Bog dal navodila Mojzesu, bo Mojzes sporočil ljudem, kaj mora prinesti.
So now we're in Exodus chapter 35. I'm going to read verse 4, 5, 20 through 22, and 29. It's a long reading, so hang with me. It says, and Moses spake unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, this is the thing which the Lord commands, saying, receive from among you an offering unto the Lord. Whosoever is of a willing heart, let him bring it. An offering of the Lord, gold, silver, brass. And all the congregation of the children of Israel departed from the presence of Moses, and they came. Everyone whose heart stirred him up, and everyone whom his spirit made willing, they brought the Lord's offering to the work of the tabernacle of the congregation for all his service, and for all the holy garments. And they came, both men and women, as many as were willing-hearted, and brought bracelets and earrings and rings, and tablets, all jewels of gold, and every man that offered an offering of gold unto the Lord.
It's very strange. I have different text. It's 35.
34, yeah, 35.
35, ok. Okay, beremo 35. poglavje, 4. in 5. vers, 20. vers, 21. vers in 29. vers. Ja. Kjer piše: In Mojzes je rekel vsej skupnosti Izraelovih sinov, to je beseda, ki jo je zapovedal Gospod, in rekel, ki je zapovedal Gospod in rekel, vzemite od tega, kar imate, dar za Gospoda. Vsakega srce nagiba k temu, naj prinese kot dar za Gospoda zlato, srebro in bron. Potem 20. vers. Tedaj je vsa skupnost Izraelovih sinov odšla izpred Mojzesa. Potem pa so prišli vsi, katerim je tako velelo srce, in vsi, ki jim je k temu nagibal njihov duh. Prinesli so dar za Gospoda, za izdelavo shodnega šatora, za vso službo pri njem in za sveta oblačila. 29. vers, kjer piše: Tako so prinesli Izraelovi sinovi, možje in žene, ki jih je njihove srce nagibalo, da bi kaj darovali za kakršnokoli napravo, ki jo je Gospod po Mojzesu zapovedal narediti prostovoljni dar Gospodu.
So after Moses asked, something really special is going to happen here. God is asking the people to give. They began to give so much that God tells Moses to do something unbelievable. And that's what we're going to read in Exodus 36, 5 through 7. You want to go ahead and translate?
Ja, torej, ko je Mojzes prosil, vidite, kaj se je zgodilo. Ljudje so začeli darovati in so darovali toliko, da je Bog rekel Mojzesu, naj naredi nekaj zelo izjemnega, kar bomo zdaj prebrali v 36. poglavju 5. do 7. vers.
Yeah, so chapter 36, 5 through 7, it says, They spake unto Moses, saying, The people bring much more than enough for the service of the work, which the Lord commanded to make. And Moses gave commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, Let neither man nor woman make any more work for the offering of the sanctuary. So the people were restrained from bringing, for the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it, and it was too much.
Torej, piše, rekli so Mojzesu, ljudstvo prinaša več, kakor je potrebno, da se opravi delo, ki ga je zapovedal Gospod. Zato je Mojzes zapovedal in raznesli so glas po taboru, ter rekli, ne moški, ne ženska, ne delate več dar za svetišče. In ljudstvo je nehalo prinašati. Dovolj so namreč darovali za vsa dela, ki jih je bilo treba opraviti, in ostajalo je.
So here Moses he has to say, stop giving. We have enough for the work.
Torej, tukaj je Mojzes rekel, nehite nositi, nehite dajati, imamo več kot dovolj za delo.
Now, you've never heard me come and speak like this and talk about giving to the work of God. And there's a reason why, because I don't want to be misunderstood.
Od Monteja še nikoli niste slišali glede dajanja za Božje delo in niste slišali zato, ker ni hotel, da bi ga razumeli narobe.
Too many people think that the people of God, all they want is other people's money.
Preveč ljudi misli, da vse, kar hočejo Božji ljudje, je denar od drugih ljudi.
But the bottom line is this, it is a privilege to give to God's work.
V resnici pa je tako, da je privilegij delati za Boga.
Knowing that God will bless whatever is given with a willing heart.
In Bog bo blagoslovil tiste, ki dajo prostovoljno.
Okay, so I'm going to skip over the rest of what I was going to say there. The very first thing that is mentioned to be built was after they had received all the material was an ark.
Prva stvar, ki je bilo rečeno, da jo bojo ljudje zgradili, ko so imeli ta material, je bila arka, ampak ne barka, ampak skrinja.
Yeah, we're not talking about Noah's ark.
To ni Noetova barka.
So we're talking about, I'm going to have to come around. So we're talking about this piece of furniture right here. I understand it's very small.
Govorimo o tem delu pohištva tukaj.
This was a box, basically a box covered in gold.
To je bila v bistvu škatla, ki je bila pokrita z zlatom.
And God gave these specific instructions on the size and everything about it.
Bog je dal zelo natančna navodila glede velikosti in vsega glede te skrinje.
And he said, after you finish it, I want you to put 3 things inside this.
In rekel je, ko boste končali skrinjo, hočem, da date notri 3 stvari.
I want you to put the 10 commandments in it.
Dajte noter 10 božjih zapovedi.
I want you to put a bowl of the special manna that I provided for you as you've been traveling.
Dajte noter posodo s posebno mano, ki vam jo dajem medtem, ko potujete.
And I want you to put Aaron's rod that all of a sudden came to life.
Aha.
Staff or rod.
Yeah, I don't know what rod is. Aha, notri je dal, notri so mogli ljudje dati še Aaronovo palico, ki je pognala in začela spet brsteti.
So that was what was going to go inside the ark.
In to so dali notri v to skrinjo.
Above the ark, we could say like a lid for the ark would be the mercy seat.
Gor na to skrinjo pa so dali tako imenovan milostni sedež.
That would be sitting right on top there.
Ta milostni sedež je na vrhu skrinje.
So it would be made from one piece of gold, and it would be the representation of 2 angels, we say cherubs, that would be folding their wings over the top. And this is going to be the area where God is going to basically live with the people.
Ta sedež je bil narejen iz zlata in na vsaki strani imel 2 angela, 2 kerubina in to je bil sedež, na katerem bi sedel Bog, ko bo z ljudmi.
Okay, so both of these things, the ark and the mercy seat, were going to be in this area, and this area was called the most holy place.
Ta skrinja in sedež sta v tem delu tabernakle in to se imenuje najsvetejši kraj.
So it was going to, this area was going to be separated from the other area by this curtain.
Ta del se od drugega dela prostora med tema deloma je zavesa.
And the high priest, only the high priest could enter into this area. Only the high priest, and he could only come in 1 time per year.
Samo visoki duhovnik je lahko prišel v ta najsvetejši kraj in lahko je prišel samo enkrat letno.
And that 1 time per year he would come in, he would offer the blood of a goat to pay for the sins of the people for that year.
Torej prišel je enkrat letno, ponudil je žrtev nedolžnega jagnjeta, ampak to je naredil enkrat letno za grehe, ki so jih ljudje v celem letu naredili.
Now in this area, this is called the holy place.
Ta del prostora se poimenuje sveti kraj.
So the high priest and the high priest's attendants could come into this area.
In tukaj lahko prišel visoki duhovnik in njegovo spremstvo.
There was the altar of incense right here near the curtain.
Tukaj je bilo kadilo blizu zavese.
There was a table of bread over here on one side.
Na eni strani prostora je bila miza s kruhom.
And then on the other side was this golden candlestick.
In na drugi strani je bil tale poseben zlati svečnik.
So that was one of the requirements for the oil, was so that there could be a light burning all the time. This light would burn continuously in the holy place here.
In zahteva je bila, da svečnik, da ogenj ves čas gori.
The light was never supposed to go out.
Ta luč nikoli ne bi smela iti ven iz tega prostora.
But now this area had no lamp or light of any kind.
Ampak v tem drugem delu prostora za zaveso pa ni nobenega svetila.
And this is really cool. this place did not need a light because the light of God was in that special area of the tabernacle.
Razlog, zakaj pa tukaj ni bilo svetila, je pa to, da je bila tukaj Božja luč.
Okay, and now I got to catch up with my notes here. Outside, okay, I'm going to take this one off. So that's what the whole complex looked like.
Zunanjost kompleksa je izgledala takole, približno.
So just outside the tabernacle here, there was what is described as a laver, or like a cleansing basin.
Pred tabernaklem je tale lavor oziroma prostor za čiščenje.
And then here was the brass altar.
In tukaj je bil še en oltar iz medenine.
So when any animals were to be offered, they would be cut up in a certain way, their blood would be taken out, and they would be burned on top of this brazen altar.
Se pravi, če je bilo treba žrtvovati kakšen žival, so jih zaklali na poseben način, jim spustili kri in jih zažgali na tem posebnem oltarju.
So all of this, anyone could come into this area. This is the courtyard for the tabernacle.
In vse to je v bistvu dvorišče tabernakla.
Only the priest could enter the first part, which we saw was the holy place.
Samo duhovnik in spremstvo so lahko šli v tale sveti prostor.
And then the back of the tabernacle was the most holy place, or the holy of holies, and only the high priest could go in there. Again, only one time every year, and you can see how God's pillar is standing above the holy of holies, or the most holy place.
Ja. In ta zadnji del tabernakla je najsvetejši od najsvetejših delov. V tega je lahko vstopil samo visoki duhovnik, in če to samo enkrat na leto, tale steber dima, ki ga pa vidimo, je pa Božja prisotnost.
So if you remember from last week, we talked about how this pillar was what led the children as they were going on their journey to the promised land.
In ko smo brali prejšnji teden, smo videli, da ta steber dima vodil Božje otroke, ko so šli proti obljubljeni deželi.
So this pillar of a cloud, it would go and they would follow it until it stopped. And when it stopped, that is where they would build all of this tabernacle.
Ta steber dima se premikal, in ko se je ustavil, so naredili okrog njega tabernakel.
And then the people would begin to build their tents around the tabernacle on each side, but it was all done in order by families.
In potem, ko so postavili tabernakel, so družine si zgradile svoje šatore okrog tega dvorišča po družinah.
And so the tabernacle was at the very center of the camp of all the Israelites.
Ta tabernakel je bil čisti center pač tega kampa vseh teh Izraelitev.
And they would stay there as long as the pillar of the cloud was there.
In oni so se ustavili toliko časa, dokler je bil tukaj steber dima.
And the Bible describes when it was time to move, the pillar of the cloud would pick up and begin to move. So they would disassemble the tabernacle and begin to follow the pillar of cloud again.
In Biblija opisuje, da ko je bil čas, da se premaknejo, se je ta oblak se je dvignil in se je začel premikati. Ljudje so takrat pospravili svoje šatore in tabernakel in so se začeli premikati skupaj oziroma za stebrom.
So sometimes the tabernacle would be in a place for days, sometimes it would be months, perhaps even longer.
Včasih se je tale steber ustavil samo za nekaj dni, včasih pa za mesece, pa še dlje.
So, but this is what God was describing for them to build.
Ampak to je to, kar jim je Bog naročil, naj zgradijo.
So I've showed you a picture before the work was done. What we're going to continue to read here is it was time for the work to be done, and so God gifted men specifically to make all these things that we've just looked at.
Torej, prej smo si prečitali o tem, kako jim je Bog naročil, kaj ne naredila, zdaj pa si bomo pogledali, kako je bilo, ko so stvari naredili, kaj je potem se dogajalo.
So if you want to see in Exodus chapter 40, we see that the work is finally finished, and verse 33 ends with this phrase, so Moses finished the work.
Torej, če si pogledamo 40. poglavje, lahko vidimo, da se 34. vers konča, da piše in Mojzes je končal z delom.
So after all the work had been finished and every item had been made and placed exactly where it was supposed to be, and the priest had been clothed as God commanded, then they had been consecrated or sanctified. This is what happened that we're going to read about in Exodus chapter 40, verses 34 and 35.
Ja. Ko je bilo torej vse delo končano in bil vsak predmet izdelan in postavljen točno tja, kjer je mogel biti, in so bili duhovniki oblečeni, kot je zapovedal Bog, in so bili posvečeni, kot je zapovedal Bog, potem se je zgodilo to, kar bomo zdaj prebrali v verzih 34 in 35.
Yeah. So what we're going to read here, it says, then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation because the cloud abode upon it. And the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle.
Torej, piše, shodni šotor je tedaj pokril oblak in Gospodovo veličastvo je napolnilo prebivališče. In Mojzes ni mogel vstopiti v shodni šotor, kajti oblak je obstal nad njim in Gospodovo veličastvo je napolnjevalo prebivališče.
So it was like after they finished and everything was placed, God moves in to his dwelling place here. And he filled up the tabernacle in such a way that Moses couldn't even get in.
Torej, ko so končali izdelavo tabernakla, se je Bog uselil notri v svoje prebivališče in je napolnil prostor, tako da tudi Mojzes ni mogel vstopati.
Now imagine if you were the Israelites and what a comfort it would have been to wake up and walk out of your tent and you look here and you see, the presence of God is still with us.
Predstavljate si, da ste Izraelit in se zbudite, prijete ven iz svojega šatora, pogledate in vidite, Bog je z nami.
That must have brought great peace to them to know that God was still with them.
Zagotovo je veliko miru prinašal ljudem, da so se zavedali, da je Bog z njimi.
So now, we have to think, we're understanding here the pictures and prophecies of Jesus in the Old Testament. So what does the tabernacle say to us about Jesus?
Torej, za nas je pomembno, ko gledamo te prispodobe stare zaveze, kakšen pomen ima ta tabernakel za nas?
Maybe you already see it, because to me I think it's fairly clear.
Mogoče že vidite, meni je jasno, kako to predstavlja Jezusa.
In the Gospel of John, John is talking about Jesus, but he's calling him the Word. In Greek, it was the Logos. But in verse 1, he says this, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
V Janezovem evangeliju Janez govori o Jezusu, ampak ga najprej imenuje kot beseda, oziroma v grščini logos. In pravi v prvem verzu, v začetku je bila beseda in beseda je bila pri Bogu in beseda je bila Bog.
So yes, Jesus is God and he is eternal, yet he is separate from God as well.
Torej, Bog oziroma Jezus je Bog in je večen, ampak hkrati pa on tudi ločen od Boga.
So how can you explain that? Well, if we look down at verse 14 of John chapter 1, it gives us a clear explanation of it.
Kako lahko to enost in ločenost razložimo? Če pogledamo v 14. vers Janezovega evangelija, je to napisano.
It says, and the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth.
In tam piše, in beseda je postala meso in se je naselila med nami in gledali smo njegovo slavo, slavo od edinorojenega od očeta, polnega milosti in resnice.
So this word dwelt in John chapter 1 verse 14 literally has the meaning to tabernacle.
In ta beseda prebival, kot piše Janez, ima isti pomen kot tabernakel.
But there's more, because John says, what did they see? When Jesus was with them, they saw the glory.
Ampak je tukaj še več. Kaj je Janez rekel, da so videli? Videli so njegovo slavo.
And what did we see back in Exodus chapter 40 when the work was finished there? What happened? When God came, the glory entered into the tabernacle.
In kaj smo mi prej videli, ko smo brali ta 40. poglavje, da je Gospodova slava napolnila tabernakel.
So we know when we go back to Exodus chapter 25, God explicitly says it, that the purpose of their tabernacle was so that God could dwell with the people.
Torej, v 25. poglavju Mojžešove druge knjige smo videli, da Bog izrecno pravi, da je bil namen tabernaklja to, da bo Bog z njimi.
God wanted to be with his people.
Bog je hotel biti s svojimi ljudmi.
Now what do we know about Jesus? Well, Matthew chapter 1 verse 23 says this, "Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son. They shall call his name Emmanuel," which is being translated, God with us.
Kaj pa vemo o Jezusu? Matej pravi tole. Glej, devica bo spočela in rodila sina in dali mu bodo ime Emanuel, kar pomeni Bog je z nami.
Now, we could take the time to go through each one of these pieces, these instruments that were in the temple, the Ark of the Covenant, the mercy seat, the everything that we could go through, and we could see how each one relates to Jesus as the representation of God's glory.
Lahko bi šel skozi vsakega od teh instrumentov, ki so notri v tabernaklju, skozi skrinjo, skozi sedež milosti, skozi stvari, ki so bile notri v skrinji zaveze.
I do just want to mention a couple though, just to kind of help us understand. The Ten Commandments, right? That was the law of God. That was his laws for the people.
Rad bi pa omenil naslednje, da 10 božjih zapovedi, to je bil božji zakon za ljudi.
Matthew chapter 5 verse 17 says this, Jesus said, "I did not come to put away the law, but to fulfill the law."
In Matej v 5. poglavju, 17. vers pravi, Jezus si je rekel, da nisem prišel odpraviti postave, ampak jo izpolniti.
What Jesus was essentially saying is, you can't abide by the law, but I can and I did.
Torej, Jezus je v svojem bistvu rekel, vi ne morete postopati po zakonu, ampak jaz pa lahko in to sem tudi že naredil.
We mentioned the bowl of manna that was to be placed into the ark.
Lahko se spomnimo na to posodo mane, ki je bila notri v skrinji.
This was that bread that God made appear every day so that he could feed his children.
To je bil kruh, s katerim je Bog hranil svoje otroke.
John chapter 6, verses 49 to 51, Jesus said, "Your fathers ate manna in the wilderness, and they died. I am the living bread that came down from heaven. And the bread that I will give you for the life of the world is my flesh."
In Janesu, 6. poglavju, piše, Jezus je rekel, da so vaši očetje jedli mano v puščavi in so umrli. Jaz sem živi kruh, ki je prišel iz nebes, in kruh, ki ga bom dal za življenje sveta, je moje meso.
Just one other one I want to mention. We talked about Aaron's rod that budded.
In govorili smo o Aaronovi palici, ki je vzbrstela.
It was a piece of wood that basically sprung forth with life.
In to je bil v bistvu kos lesa, v katerega se je vrnilo življenje.
We could also say that life came from a dead object.
Lahko bi rekli, da je življenje prišlo iz mrtvega predmeta.
And I don't know how we could not look at this and not think about the resurrection of Jesus' life coming from his dead body.
In če gledamo to, kako ne pomisli na Jezusovo vstajenje, na življenje, ki pride iz mrtvega telesa.
And like I said, we could go through and look at each one of these items and we could talk about what we see in these pictures, but really we don't even have to do that because Jesus, it's written specifically about what he did over in the letter to Hebrews.
Lahko bi se o vsaki od tej stvari, o teh instrumentih v tabernaklu pogovarjali, ampak nam ni treba, ker Jezus sam pove v pismu Hebrejcem.
So now I'm going to read a rather lengthy portion here, so stay with me. It says, "Then truly the first covenant had also ordinances of divine service and a worldly sanctuary," talking about the tabernacle. "For there was a tabernacle made, the first, wherein was the candlestick and the table and the bread, which is called the sanctuary. And after that second veil, or that second curtain, the tabernacle which is called the holiest of all, which had the golden censer and the ark of the covenant overlaid round about with gold, wherein was the golden pot that had manna, and Aaron's rod that budded, and the tables of the covenant," the Ten Commandments. "And over it the cherubims of glory shadowing the mercy seat, of which we cannot now speak particularly. Now when these things were ordained," or finished, "the priest went always into the first partition, accomplishing the service of God. But into the second partition, that holiest of holies," okay, I got lost here. "Into the second partition, the high priest alone went once every year, not without blood, which he offered for himself and for the errors," or the sins, "of all the people. And the Holy Ghost," Holy Spirit, "signified that the way into the holiest of all was not yet made manifest, while this first tabernacle was standing." In other words, the fulfillment of this promise had not been completed yet. Verse 9, "Which was a figure for the time then present, in which were offered both gifts and sacrifices that could not make him that did the service perfect as pertaining to his conscience." It didn't cover his sins forever. Now look at verse 11. It says, "But Christ, being come and high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands. That is to say, not of this building, neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood, he entered in once in the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. For if the blood of bulls and goats and the ashes of a heifer sprinkling the unclean sanctify to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God." In other words, if those sacrifices back then didn't clean you, it had to be done every year, how much more does the perfect blood of Jesus cleanse us? And it cleanses us forever. I'm going to read on. It says, and for this cause, he, Jesus, is the mediator. He is the go-between for us to God of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first commandment, the law, they which might receive them, given the promise of eternal life or eternal inheritance.
Ok, kar nekaj branja. V bistvu je pismo Hebrejcem 9. poglavje 1. do 15. vers, kjer pravi: "Prejšnja zaveza je res imela bogoslužna določila in pozemeljsko svetišče, postavljen je bil namreč prvi šotor, temu pravimo sveto. V njem so bili svečnik, miza in položeni hlebi. Za drugim zagrinjalom pa je bil šotor, ki mu pravimo presveto. V njem je bil zlat kadilni oltar in skrinja zaveze. Ta je bila z vseh strani obložena zlatom. V njej je bila zlata posoda z mano in Aaronova palica, ki je ozelenela, in tabli zaveze. Nad njo sta bili keruba veličastva, ki sta metala senco na spravni pokrov. Toda o tem zdaj ne bomo podrobno govorili. Te reči so bile torej urejene takole. V prvi šotor stopajo duhovniki vedno, ko opravljajo bogoslužje. V drugega pa enkrat na leto samo veliki duhovnik, pa ne brez krvi, ki jo daruje zase in za nenamerne prestopke ljudstva. S tem Sveti Duh kaže, da pot v svetišče še ni odprta, dokler še stoji prvi šotor, kar je podoba za sedanji čas. V njem se namreč darujejo daritve in žrtve, ki pa ne morejo tistega, ki službo opravlja, narediti popolnega v vesti, ker gre le za jedi in pijače in razne umivanja, pač za mesene predpise, ki so veljali do časa preureditve. Se pravi, o tem smo zdaj govorili. Da pride zanimiv del, kjer piše, na to pa je prišel Kristus, kot veliki duhovnik dobrih stvari, ki so se zgodile skozi večji in popolnejši šotor, ki ni narejen z rokami, se pravi, ki ni od tega stvarstva, je stopil v svetišče enkrat za vselej, ne s krvjo kozlov in juncev, temveč svojo krvjo in je dosegel večno odkupljenje. Kajti če škropljenje s krvjo kozlov in volov in juničjim pepelom omadeževanje posvečuje, da bi se jim očisti meso, koliko bolj bo kri Kristusa, ki je po večnem duhu sam sebe brez madežnega daroval Bogu, očistila našo vest mrtvih del, da bomo služili živemu Bogu. Zato je srednik nove zaveze, da bi po smrti, ki jo je pretrpel za odkupitev od prestopkov v prvi zavezi, tisti, ki so poklicani, prejeli obljubljeno večno dediščino.
So, understanding that the tabernacle was the place where God wanted to meet with the people.
Torej, v razumevanju tega, da je tabernakel bil prostor, kjer se je hotel Bog srečevati z ljudmi.
And the children of Israel used this tabernacle all the way until King David, and actually David's son, replaced this tabernacle, which was by that time some 700-800 years old.
Torej, ta tabernakel so Izraelovi sinovi uporabljali vse do kralja Davida, oziroma do sina kralja Davida, ko je to bilo že 700-800 let.
So, it started with the tabernacle. Eventually, the tabernacle was replaced by a building once they got into the promised land called the temple.
Torej, začelo se s tabernaklom, potem pa so to nadomestili z zgradbo, ki so jo poimenovali tempelj.
And in the temple was where God would meet with his people. These pieces, these instruments were moved into the temple once it was finished. And God filled the temple when it was finished, just like he did with the tabernacle.
In v templu naj bi se Bog srečeval z ljudmi, tako kot se je prej v tabernaklu. V tempel so prinesli vse te instrumente, vse te stvari in Bog, Božji duh je napolnil tempel.
But when Jesus came, the need for the tabernacle or even the temple, it was all finished at that time.
Ko pa je Jezus prišel, pa potrebe po templu ali pa po tabernaklu ni bilo več.
Because he completed the picture.
Ker Jezus je zaključil sliko.
There was no more need for a symbol of the blood sacrifice to be offered.
Ni bilo več potrebe po simbolični krvni daritvi.
The work was done, finished, completed because of Jesus.
Delo je bilo narejeno, končano, zaključeno zaradi Jezusa.
Now, when the high priest back in this day of the tabernacle, his work, he had to work so hard offering sacrifices for the people. He never had time to sit down because his work never finished.
V času tabernakla je ta veliki duhovnik imel zelo veliko dela z žrtvovanjem in njegovo delo ni bilo nikoli zares končano.
But when Jesus offered his sacrifice, it was finished. And he sat down at the right hand of God. We see that in Hebrews chapter 10 verse 12 says this. But when Christ had offered for all time a single sacrifice for sins, he sat down at the right hand of God.
Ko pa je Jezus dokončal svojo žrtev, takrat pa je bilo konec in se je lahko Jezus usedel na desnico očetova, kot piše v pismu Hebrejcem v 12. verzu. Ta pa je za grehe daroval eno samo žrtev in za vekomaj sedel na Božjo desnico.
So I just want to show this again real quick. At the time, not going to stay very well. At the time when Jesus was dying on the cross, as he was saying these words, "It's finished. My sacrifice for sin is finished." Something very special happened over in the temple.
Torej, v tistem času, ko je Jezus umiral na križu in je zaklical, končano je, se nekaj zelo pomembnega zgodilo v templu v Jeruzalemu. Je?
Yeah.
Ja.
So this curtain, this partition between the holy place and the most holy place, this area where God met with his people, this curtain was ripped from the top to the bottom the moment that Jesus died.
Zgodilo se je to, da tisti trenutek, ko je Jezus umrl, se ta zavesa, ki je ločevala prostor med svetim in najsvetejšim, se je strgala od vrha do konca spodaj.
And this was a picture to the people that they would understand that the way to God has now been opened up for all.
In to je bila slika ljudem, sporočilo, da so razumeli, da zdaj pot do Boga je odprta za vse.
The people didn't have to trust the high priest to take their sacrifice for them. They understood at that time that I can take my sacrifice to God, to him myself, going through Jesus Christ.
Ljudje so takrat spoznali, da pot do Boga ni ta, da je treba zaupati velikemu duhovniku, ampak da lahko sam prideš do Boga skozi Jezusa Kristusa.
So this should help us to understand that we don't need to pray to anyone. We can go straight to God because we're going through Jesus Christ.
In to naj nam pomaga razumeti, da nam ni treba moliti k nekim posrednikom, da gremo lahko neposredno k Bogu z molitvijo skozi Jezusa Kristusa.
And Hebrews chapter 10 points this out to us again. It says, we can have confidence to enter into the most holy place by the blood of Jesus, by a new and living way opened up for us through the curtain.
Torej, pismo Hebrejcem v 10. poglavju to potrdi, pravi, da lahko z zaupanjem vstopimo v najsvetejše po Jezusovi krvi, po novi in živi poti, ki se nam odpre skozi zaveso.
Okay, we're going to kind of wrap it up this way. You remember in the garden, God dwelt with Adam and Eve, and then they sinned.
Torej, bomo zaključili na ta način. Spomnite se, da je Bog v rajskem edenskem vrtu prebival iz Adamom in Evo in on pa ste grešili.
And God couldn't dwell with sin anymore, so he showed them the pattern of the substitutionary payment with the promise that one day a Redeemer would come to complete the picture.
In Bog ni mogel več bivati z grehom, pokazal je Adamu in Evi nam vsem vzorec krvne daritve in nam tudi povedal, da nekega dne bo prišel končni odkupovalec, ki bo zaključil to sliko.
Now after bringing them out of Egypt, he knew they needed to dwell with him again, and he made this special place that provided a place where he could meet with them.
In ko je Bog popeljal ljudi iz Egipta, je razumel, da ljudje rabijo en poseben prostor in je zato tudi načrtoval ta prostor, zato da ljudje lahko bivajo z Bogom.
And the people who lived in Moses' day, they had to trust the priest to offer the sacrifice in the tabernacle where God's presence was.
In ljudje, ki so živeli v Mojžesovih časih, so morali zaupati velikemu duhovniku, da jim je prenašal sporočilo od Boga.
And this pattern was used until God finally fulfilled his promise to send that Redeemer, and Jesus arrived.
Ta vzorec je bil aktualen do časa, ko je končno prišel Jezus Kristus, ko je Bog dokončal svojo obljubo.
And we already read this, how Jesus as the Word dwelt with the people during His time, and He pointed them to the truth about Himself.
Torej, prebival je s tistimi ljudmi v svojem času in jim je pokazal na resnico o sebi.
So Jesus was the fulfillment of that sacrifice, and now we get some fantastic news because of it.
Torej, Jezus je bil izpolnitev te žrtve in zaradi tega imamo zdaj nekaj fantastičnih novosti.
After Jesus came, he completed this picture. The tabernacle, the temple that came later, they were no longer needed.
Torej, Jezus je prišel, dokončal to prerokbo in nenadoma tabernakel pa tempelj nista bila več potrebna.
So now all those who trust in Jesus' payment for their sins, the offering that He made for us as our high priest, it is done. It is finished. Now everything is different.
Torej, vsi tisti, ki zaupajo v Jezusovo plačilo za svoje grehe, daritev, ki jo naredil za nas, kot on, kot naš veliki duhovnik, je upravljena. Zdaj vse drugače.
So the Apostle Paul wrote this to the church in Corinth, and he has this to say to them. Don't you know, if you're a child of God, don't you know that you are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God now dwells in you?
Torej, apostol Pavel je v pismu Korinčanom napisal, mar ne veste, da ste vi Božji tempelj in da Božji duh prebiva v vas?
So, God dwelt with Adam and Eve. They sinned. God dwelt with the people through the tabernacle and later on in the temple. And now God says, I will come live inside you if you're my child, if you come through Jesus Christ and His payment.
Torej, Bog je bival iz Adama in Evo, on bila sta grešila. Bog je bival z ljudmi, ki jih je popeljal iz Egipta, bival je v tabernaku, v templju, zdaj pa biva v nas.
So what the whole subject of today was, the tabernacle, it was a picture of what was to come one day.
Torej, to, kar smo brali danes, je ta tabernakel je slika tega, prispodoba tega, kar bo nekega dne prišlo.
And there's a funny thing about pictures. You can look at a picture, and even though it may be very, very clear, the resolution may be perfect, and all the colors are correct, it is never as beautiful as the real thing.
In zanimiva stvar s slikami, s podobami pa je ta, da kadarkoli gledamo slike, pa tudi če so krasne barve, odlična resolucija, slika nikoli ni tako lepa, kot je stvar v resnici.
The tabernacle was a picture of Jesus. Jesus was the real thing.
In tabernakel je bil prispodoba Jezusa, Jezus pa je prava stvar.
So now the question is, have you put your trust in Jesus and Jesus alone?
Torej, vprašanje je, ali ste položili vaše upanje, vašo vero v Jezusa in samo Jezusa.
It's not what you think about Him and your very best good works that is going to make you a child of God.
Božjega otroka vas ne bo naredilo to, kaj si vi mislite o Jezusu in vaša dobra dela.
It's not Him plus anything else at all.
Ne gre za to, da verjamete v Jezusa plus še v neke stvari.
It is Him and Him alone. He paid for our sins by His death for us. We don't need to add anything to it.
Gre samo za Jezusa, samo za vero v Jezusa. On je odkupil vse naše grehe in nam ni treba ničesar dodajati.
And now He offers His spiritual rescue to any who would accept His payment.
In zdaj Jezus ponuja duhovno rešitev vsem, ki so pripravljeni sprejeti njegovo plačilo.
So the challenge is, will you do that?
Torej, izziv je, a boste to naredili?
Will you trust in Jesus and Jesus alone as your payment for your sin?
A boste verjeli v Jezusa in samo v Jezusa kot v vaše poplačilo vaših grehov.
You can, and the Bible is very clear about how to do it.
To lahko naredite in v Bibliji zelo jasno piše, kako to narediti.
So if there's any who would like to know more about this, we would love to help you and show you what God says about how to have a real relationship with Him through Jesus Christ.
Torej, če želite verjeti v Jezusa z veseljem, vam pokažemo, kako to narediti, kako imeti pravi odnos z Jezusom in s Bogom.
So if we can help you in any way, just let us know.
Če vam lahko kakorkoli pomagamo, povejte nam.
So until next time, we're going to shut the video down for now, but if we can help in any way, we'd love to help. Hope you join us again. Hope you join us right here at our place, or if you join us again live, we would enjoy getting to spend some time with you.
Zdaj bomo zaključili video prenos, naprej bomo ostali tukaj. Če imate kakršnokoli vprašanje, kakršnokoli prošnje, da vam lahko pomagamo, z veseljem vam pomagamo. Upamo tudi, da se nam boste pridružili v živo.
Thank you.
Hvala.